Here are some perspectives to have when considering who to vote for. Many people have an attitude, well, I don't like either candidate, so I'll just abstain or I'll vote for a third party. Maybe one candidate aligns more with my ideology, but maybe I don't like their personality or their character. And therefore I'll abstain or I'll vote for some third party who has no shot at winning. This is a fatal error. There's a principle in Judaism that when faced with a decision, even if one does not like either choice, one would be required to choose the better of the two or the lesser of the evil. Do you know who we learned this out from? We learned this out from none other than Moshe Rabbeinu when he decided to get married. You know there's a Ralbag in Parsha Shemos. The Ralbag in each Parsha gives us the toyelios, the benefits that we learn from the Parsha. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu married a woman from Midian, Tzipora. The Torah calls her a Cushite, but that's just a description of her beauty. He did not marry a woman indigenous to the Jewish people. And the Ralbag says we learn out something very important from here. He says, "Hatoyelas hayed beis hu b'midais, v'hu sharoi la'adam kishla yuchal lahasik toiv ma ba'ofen shalim." We learn out that if a person cannot achieve perfection, then she'istapik b'ma she'efshar lo lahasik me'atoivahu, then try to get as good as you can. V'lo yimna mimeno hatoivahu b'muchla mibnei shlo yuchal lahasik ba'ofen shalim. Never give up something that could be somewhat good just because you cannot have perfectly good. Therefore, because Moshe was not able, for whatever reason, to marry a woman from his own people, he was afraid from the Pharaoh, so he had to go to another land, and he had no choice, he had to get married. He had to marry the daughter of Yisrael, because he had to have children. Says Ralbag, when faced with a choice between bad and only slightly bad, and that's the choice Moshe Rabbeinu had to make. He had to choose between not getting married at all or marrying a woman from a different nation to have children. Moshe Rabbeinu said, you know what? I can't marry a Jew, so what? Don't get married at all? No, that's ludicrous. You have to make the best possible decision. It's better to marry a woman from a different people. Of course, this was before the Torah was given and Moshe converted her. But Moshe Rabbeinu made the decision that he's going to pick, so to speak, the lesser of the two evils. So even if you're not enthralled with both candidates, you are morally obligated to vote for the better of the two. Now, if you're having a hard time clarifying, well, which candidate is the better of the two? Here's a good perspective to have. If you don't know, why don't you ask the enemies of the Jewish people? Who would they prefer to see in power? Maybe ask some of the enemies of the state of Israel in the Middle East who want to see the annihilation of the Middle East. Ask them which candidate would they like to knock off, or which candidate would they be more comfortable in power so they could continue to twist the arm of the state of Israel. So when you don't know what to do, try to think for a moment. Who would Iran prefer? Who would the Houthis prefer? Who would Hezbollah prefer? And the answer to that is very clear. We all know the answer to that. And another thing you have to think about is you may not agree entirely with the ideology of either candidate, but if one candidate is at the forefront of advancing every left-wing woke ideology, then not only would voting for that candidate mean that you support all of this destructive ideology which is antithetical to the Torah, but even if you abstain, and even if you vote for a third candidate, voting for a third candidate means you don't have the backbone to stand up for what is correct, and that is to vote against that. So, without endorsing any candidate formally, let's just say, may the best man win. And of course, what's most important is that we all have to daven for the welfare of Klal Yisrael in America, in Eretz Yisrael. This is our primary avodah. Of course, voting is our hashtadlos, but it should give us added motivation to daven that Hashem should protect Klal Yisrael and protect our interests, b'chol makom shehem, and may HaKadosh Baruch Hu send Klal Yisrael Yeshuos v'nechamos.